really anyone being there for me in any way would have made such a difference. If I hadn't bought into that secular idea of radical autonomy, that would have made a difference. If I had reached out to my mom, and even just a month later, I did tell her, because I'm a mama's girl, and I'm going to tell my mom, and she knows me. Mamas know our babies, right? And so she knew something was up. And so she was telling me about her good friend, and her good friend's daughter was pregnant. And I made some comment, I'm 19 years old. And so I said, like, oh, that's, a lot of people getting pregnant, huh? And she was like, Catherine, is there something you want to tell me? And so the whole story spilled out, truth will always come to light. And I told her, and she was so sad. But the thing she was saddest about, I think, was that I hadn't just trusted her enough to go to her and tell her, and let her love me and hug me. I should have trusted her more. And so she did help. She gave me a little bit of tough love. She made me find a job that summer, which I needed. I needed not just to wallow in my own grief, but to really get out there and do something that would be helpful. And she found me counseling at what turned out to be a pregnancy center. Didn't know that at the time. I thought it was just a normal counseling center, but she found me that, and I'm still in touch with the wonderful woman who counseled me through that. Actually, you mentioned being set free earlier, and the study that we went through. There's a lot of post-abortion studies out there. It was called Forgiven and Set Free. So I went through all of that, but anything would have helped. If there had been just a prayerful presence outside that abortion facility, that would have helped. If there had been someone holding a sign, "We will adopt your baby," I don't know if I would have done that. Probably not, but at least knowing that there was some other option, that there was someone who cared about me or about my child or about my situation or anything. Someone who would have said that, that I could do it, that there would be some kind of way, that there was an option, instead of me just, floundering on my own late at night trying to, turn to the internet to find out what to do, because that usually doesn't lead to good results.
So let that sink in. What do you need? Not somebody who has all of the answers, not somebody who's a professional counselor, not somebody. You need somebody who's godly, who will care for you and help you walk through really practical things that are not rocket science. You need to get a job.
Yeah.
You need to
I needed a hug. Just a hug would have, it reminds me, if I may, for 30 seconds,
Sure.
I was sitting there in the hearing last Wednesday, and it's the normal kind of thing. You give your little opening statement, they start questioning you, and the guys on your side, they're giving you, questions to make sure that you can say what needs to be said, and the other side, they're trying to attack you, and sometimes they do a pretty good job of it, but one of the last representatives on the other side really just came at me hard and said, it was your choice, you decided to do this, and what I wanted to say was, you need better opposition research, because that isn't how it really went down for me. I ended up being forced into this. But a friend of mine just happened to send me a text as I was sitting there. She had already finished, but he sent me this text, and he said, "I'm so sorry, that was harsh, that was cruel. I watched her and I watched your reaction, and I just felt so bad, hugs from afar."
Oh.
And I saw that, and just that little bit of outreach, that bit of caring, then I started crying, which I never imagined doing in the middle of Congress. I'm like crying there at the witness table. It's that bit of love that can make all the difference, that can just break all those chains we have up around our heart.
See, Jesus said, "Go and make disciples of all nations." And I know that sometimes when we think of discipleship, we think of discipleship plans and discipleship programs. But what you're describing, the biblical word is discipleship. Your mom discipled you at that point, said, "Follow me as I follow Christ." She was depending on what God, give me wisdom on how to help my daughter, and God gave her wisdom. And so that's why we say there's somebody that you need to disciple this week, that if you don't disciple them, nobody's going to.